Hello, my name is Sarah Ress. This presentation was created for the Capstone Class 696 under Dr. Veltzos at Minnesota State University Mankato English Department. It was created fall semester 2014. My topic is environmental communication. Environmental communication. What is environmental communication? Environmental communication is the medium that we use in constructing environmental problems and negotiating society's different responses to them. This medium includes everything from town hall meetings to social media to laws and policies. Topics in environmental communication range from crisis and risk management and health management to laws and permitting decisions or changes or to managing environmental resources, plus many other topics in between. When people think of environment, they think of things on a global level, such as pollution, wildlife preservation, global warming, and that sort of thing. And while environmental communication does exist on a global level, there is a significant and important amount done on a local or community level. This is where most environmental communication is focused and where I focused my research. So why is environmental communication important? This is a situation that most often includes the non-technical, non-scientific community members. Frequently, however, communication involving this group is weak and haphazard and often viewed by experts as not important. Environmental communication should be more than just a one-way flow of information. People have the right to information so they can make the best possible choices for themselves. Organizations such as various government agencies, environmental groups, special interest groups, and businesses all have their own ideas, opinions, and agendas on what should be communicated to a non-technical layperson. These organizations can make it difficult to discern what information is important and correct to a non-technical stakeholder. In addition to this, whether intentionally or not, the media can alter concepts as well. Non-technical stakeholders' perception of a situation is important in environmental communication since no matter how many policies and laws a country has, it is the layperson that makes the culture. Many non-technical people have difficulty grasping scientific knowledge, which affects their perception. So why does this matter to technical communicators? Technical communicators are in a unique position to help facilitate communication. Technical communicators are well suited to understanding audiences or help overcome communication barriers. They can help bridge gaps and present information in a timely and correct manner. Constructing environmental communication. To understand how successful environmental communication can take place, it is important to understand how stakeholders mentally construct environmental problems. In my research, I found many components to how stakeholders construct environmental problems, and many stories about success and failure based on how well communication was established. However, the most important factor to understand is that non-technical, non-scientific lay people perceive and process information differently than experts. While non-technical, non-scientific lay people can offer a lot of information and insight to environmental issues and are sometimes the first ones to notice change in a community, they lack training on how to process information scientifically. While experts have training to understand the problem, typically in a top-down dissemination of science, they often just hand down information to non-experts. But ever since the 1960s, in the environmental revolution in the United States, slowly experts have begun to realize that residents in the community can understand complex scientific issues and have a lot of information to offer, especially when it concerns environmental problems in the community. But even today, there are still barriers to communication between these two groups. So what does this mean for a technical communicator? Well, since the dissemination of scientific information can be so jumbled and confusing, it is important to understand how people create and build mental models of environmental science. While all this information is important, there is still a need for a practical guide for environmental communication, which leads to Karen's rubrics. To help address environmental communication between all stakeholders, many models and rubrics have been developed over the years. Most were theoretical, and while they are all helpful for specialized topics within environmental communication, many of them don't seem to be a good fit for actually writing a good message from a technical communication standpoint. In my research, I found an article by Rosemary Caron in which she developed a rubrics. While it was originally designed for businesses and governments to communicate with communities, there are some good points that are applicable from a technical communication standpoint. More practically, it contains a list. The biggest point in her rubrics is that she's advocating for the end user, the non-technical stakeholders. Some of her most relevant points include, first of all, to be accountable for communication about stakeholders. In addition to giving citizens a platform, the government and other businesses must respond to their concerns. Karan gives an example of how a facility created a web page for complaints during a permit upgrade, but months later the issues brought up by citizens were still unaddressed. Using technology and the internet are great resources since it creates a way to address citizens that might not attend community meetings. However, since it can be easily ignored, it is best not to rely solely on the internet. Another good point is to use appropriate information and meeting logistics for all stakeholders. Having the right information at the right time is critical. Throwing technical information such as charts, figures, and numbers at the audience does not solve communication problems. In fact, just throwing information at them can create an us versus them situation, inhibiting positive communication and fostering distrust. Another good point is that the government or businesses should initiate communication early with the residents of the communities they share and provide routine updates. In any new or developing situation, nobody likes surprises, and it doesn't matter if this is an emergency or not, or even if you have a lot of information to communicate. Having regular updates is important to continuing the establishment of trust. There are a couple stages in Karan's rubrics about holding meetings and having experts present. This means that you have experts available to answer questions and to keep updates available. Another interesting point in Karan's rubrics is to establish citizen advisory committees. This allows citizens to be able to direct meetings and have a feeling of control. Allowing citizen-directed committees help prevent citizens' concerns from falling through the cracks. So why is this important to technical communicators? Well, this rubrics helps create a situation of trust. It also helps technical communicators with some practical advice with how to present information from a business to the community. Applying environmental communication. Like many other communities in the United States, the city of New Ulm, Minnesota has a problem with buckthorn. Buckthorn is a brush that is considered an exotic species and a nuisance. The best form of removal is cutting it down and destroying all of the plant, including all of the roots. Buckthorn removal requires constant vigilance and makes complete eradication nearly impossible. Under Minnesota state law and guidelines from the Department of Natural Resources, it must be removed wherever it is found. However, removal is up to local communities and citizens with little to no funding available from the state or federal government. Over the years, there have been multiple attempts from the city of New Ulm and sporadic involvement from the citizens of the town to contain and remove it. In 2011, the city of New Ulm developed a plan to manage buckthorn, but it was only for that year with a vague plan for the year ahead. The city has a person who helps coordinate the removal, but her availability is not full-time. While the city was able to get some tools and equipment to help with the removal, there is no ongoing funds other than what the city provides. Because of this limited resources, coordination of the removal of buckthorn in New Ulm is sporadic at best. While complete eradication of buckthorn seems unlikely, using Karan's rubrics and lessons learned from the success and failure of other communities, a better plan can be put into place. The first step would be to reinitiate communication with the residents of the community with a new message reminding citizens of the effects of buckthorn to the local environment. Next, the city could establish citizen advisory committees to spread the word through word of mouth, the local paper, and the local radio station. Through the Citizen Advisory Committee, New Ulm could get more residents involved in the research and planning of a sustainable plan for the removal of buckthorn. Other cities in Minnesota, such as Burnsville and Edina, have removal programs. New Ulm could visit with the people involved and find ways to improve New Ulm's program. In addition to educating and involving the public, the City of New Ulm must educate businesses and state agencies about its community engagement activities. Representatives from the local DNR headquarters and other experts from around the state could attend meetings and give advice. The communication needs continuous distribution, especially after the excitement of the new program has worn off. Regular updates should be posted on a dedicated webpage that is easy to find at the Citizens Advisory meetings and in the local newspaper and radio. Brochures, pamphlets, posters, as well as press releases should be a continuing thing during the winter months in order to keep the problem current. Another way to accomplish this could have an informational meeting at the beginning of the year during the winter months before spring when plants begin to grow. There is a role for the technical communicators at each step in this rubrics. A technical writer could develop materials about buckthorn identification and removal from the DNR information and present it to the Citizens Advisory Committee. Presenting this information in the spring, as the weather gets nice and people are outside more, would increase the chances that people would be able to identify buckthorn in the community. A technical communicator could help the city apply for grants to support its buckthorn removal efforts. Finally, a technical communicator with a background in biology or environmental issues could help the community interpret data from experts and communicate it to the public. While buckthorn is never going to be completely eliminated, having a plan to control it in New Ulm would be hugely beneficial. Clearly, the city is trying some measure of control, but with a technical communicator who knows how to more clearly coordinate efforts, significant progress could be made. So in conclusion, what should technical communicators take away from this presentation? It is important to understand the audience and how they create mental models of environmental communication and how to write a good message towards the audience. Environmental communication is a complex subject dealing with many different stakeholders spanning many different situations. While it is a complex subject, it does not have to be an overwhelming one. Having a good message is only part of the solution. Sharing that message with the public and gaining their trust is crucial to effective environmental communication. Karan's rubric is one model that can help organizations, businesses, and governmental agencies improve their relationship with community stakeholders. While not all environmental problems in the world will be solved, fostering the resolution of issues at a community level helps bring positive change. Willingness to communicate environmental problems will earn the trust of the community and help foster community-based interactions. Individuals who participate in environmental communication also develop many positive social benefits. Often these people feel more connected to the community and feel like they are making a difference for the environment. Developing better environmental communication is a situation where everyone wins, and technical communicators can be a huge process. Here is the source for the Karan's rubrics. Thank you for viewing my presentation.